What's up guys, Mike here, the Detroit Board, checking out the new Blackberry Passport Silver Edition, which is primarily a redesign of the original Blackberry Passport and has a lot of design traits similar to the AT&T variant of this phone, but it's still a unique design. So we have this metal frame, which is where it gets its name from. It has this nice silver metal finish. The frame is thicker, so it's more durable, and has a nice metal chamfered edge, so it looks a little more premium, a little more upscale than the previous generation. Although it looks more premium, it's available for $549 off contract, either through Amazon or Blackberry. Ultimately, the Silver Edition is a cosmetic update of the original Blackberry Passport. The hardware specs, features, and software experience is pretty much carried over. So in this video, we're going to focus on what's new. So in terms of those specs, once again, we have a Snapdragon 801 clocked at 2.26 gigahertz. We also get the Adreno 330 graphics processor, 32 gigs of internal storage with micro SD expansion up to 120 gigs. We also get 3 gigs of RAM. In terms of the battery, once again, 3,450 milliamp hours, and it is non-removable. So the first thing we need to do is crack into our box here. So when you lift up the lid, the first thing you see is the Blackberry Passport and all of its silver glory. It's a really good looking phone. It's built like a tank. As soon as you pick it up, you can feel the heft of the phone. So the first thing we need to do is peel off all the plastic on the back. So we have a piece at the top, which is where that removable panel is for accessing your SIM slot and your micro SD card slot. We also have a piece of plastic covering the camera lens. We have another piece of plastic covering the new back panel, which has this textured finish, which makes it a lot more grippable than the previous generation. Of course, we also have plastic on the front covering that glass display. Next up, we have our user guide, which highlights the main features, the functions of the buttons, and highlights the construction of the Silver Edition. Overall, it's a pretty nice presentation. We also have our warranty information. So we have 30 days of direct support from Blackberry, so you can call them with any issues. We also have Blackberry Care Protection Plan for extended coverage, which covers things like cracked screens, liquid spills, or more. We also get a literature packet, which includes all your regulatory and warranty information in multiple languages. Down below that, first thing we'll see is our Blackberry branded power adapter. So standard charger here, the USB port is along the side. And like all phones, we get a micro USB 2.0 charging cable, so no USB-C here. We also get a set of Blackberry's premium headphones, which includes an inline remote control and microphone, along with replacement ear tips, which are designed to hug the inside of your ear so they don't fall out. Taking a close look at the design, once again, we have a 4.5-inch square display with a resolution of 1440 by 1440 good for 453 pixels per inch. It's covered in Corning Gorilla Glass 3, and it's a nice IPS LCD panel, so it's really bright and vivid and crisp, and it looks great in all lighting conditions. Toward the bottom, we have our very familiar Passport keyboard, which is meant to be used two-handed. It also has capacitive sensors, so it has trackpad functionality, so you can swipe up on the keyboard for various gestures for navigating through the interface, or for waking up the device, or going to the home screen, or a variety of other gestures, which I covered in my full review. Now, this keyboard feels very similar to the previous generation, but they've added some space below it, so I find it's actually a lot more comfortable to handle than before, but it does make the phone a little taller. Toward the top, we have our earpiece, which is drilled through the metal frame. On the left side, we have our ambient light sensor and proximity sensor. On the right side, we have a 2-megapixel front-facing camera, good for 720p video, and we have an LED notification light. Along the bottom, once again, we have these very loud and very clear stereo speakers. In this case, we now have these micro drilled holes into the frame of the phone, which I think looks a lot better. We also have our micro USB 2.0 port, which incorporates Slim port, which means you can use an adapter to connect an HDMI cable to output video. Along the right side, we have our volume up and down keys, along with the center button for activating features like the Blackberry Assistant or pausing video playback. Along the top, we have our chromed sleep-wake power button, along with our headphone jack and a little thumbnail port for popping off the back panel. Behind the small back panel, you'll find your nano SIM slot and your micro SD card slot, which can support up to 128 gig cards. Along the back, you'll find this textured plastic panel, which is nice and grippable and durable. We also have our circular camera ring, same camera here, 13 megapixels, good for 1080p video up to 60 frames per second with optical image stabilization built in. And right above that, we'll find our single LED flash. Now, generally speaking, I find the new Blackberry Passport a little more comfortable to handle with thicker edges, which are more grippable, along with rounded corners at the bottom, which no longer dig into the palm of your hand. And the distance added to the bottom of the keyboard makes the keyboard a lot more comfortable to use. The only thing I miss here is that we no longer have the rounded glass edge of the original Passport. Instead, we have the chamfered edge, which is a little sharper. So when you rub your finger across the glass display, you no longer have that nice smooth edge. But otherwise, I really like this cleaned up design. So we have this nice metal frame frame at the top as opposed to the glossy frame plus the metal frame plus the matte plastic and plus all the other trim pieces that made up the top of the previous generation. That's also true of the bottom. We no longer have these open grill ports at the bottom of the old BlackBerry Passport, and again, less materials for a cleaner look. Along the right side, the buttons are pretty much carried over here. Again, you have this thicker look to the Silver Edition that just means it's less tapered. Along the back, we also have some new materials, a smaller access panel, so it's not quite as big as the previous generation. We also have this circular camera ring with this nice chrome piece surrounding it, which I think looks a lot better. Now, the top of the display doesn't look quite as slick as the previous generation with that edge-to-edge glass panel, but again, you have a little more metal and a little less plastic. The Silver Edition also comes with a variety of new accessories. So we have a leather flip case, which is pretty slick here. It snaps onto the back, provides a lot of protection along the back while still preserving NFC capability on the phone. So we have a leather flip shell that, when closed, puts the device to sleep or wakes it up when you flip it open. And when the cover is closed, you still have access to your earpiece as well as the LED notification light. We also have another accessory here called the leather flex shell, which provides good protection around the back and sides of the phone while giving you this kickstand which pops out and props up the phone. You can snap it back into place and pop it back out when you need it. We also have the BlackBerry Sync Pod, which includes a Silver Edition adapter which snaps into place around the USB connector. Now, this is designed to fit the two case accessories, either the leather flex shell or the flip case. So you can dock the phone and connect the USB cable to the back, and they do include another USB cable in the box. Next up, I want to briefly cover the basics of using BlackBerry OS 10.3. So on the lock screen, we have all of our notifications, which we can tap on to view. We can also swipe up to unlock the device to take us to where we last left off. In this case, I'm looking at the weather app. I can swipe up again to take us to the main home screen, which in this case is the recent apps launcher. So these are all my recently accessed apps, which I can quickly jump back to. Now, if I want to close any one of them, I can just tap the X icon in the lower right. Now, if I swipe to the right, I get to all of my installed apps, which I can quickly launch here. And then I can jump back to the home screen. If I swipe all the way to the right, I get to BlackBerry Hub, which aggregates all of my calendar events, email messages, Twitter messages, text messages, voice calls, and more. And I can quickly respond to all of them right from this one location, so I don't have to jump app to app, which is very nice. I can also compose a message using any one of those available services like text messaging, BBM, Facebook, Twitter, and more. Now, if I swipe to the right again, I can see all the available services plugged into BlackBerry Hub. So if I want to see only those messages, I can tap on them to bring them forward. Getting back to the main home screen, we can swipe down to get to our quick settings panel, which includes things like a flashlight, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and more. You can also swipe to the right to get to additional controls like screen brightness. We also have quick access to our phone dialer and our camera right on the home screen. Alrighty guys, hope you enjoyed this quick look at the BlackBerry Silver Edition. If you want to know everything there is to know about the BlackBerry Passport, please check out my full review video linked in the description below. If you like this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up to let me know, and I'll see you again in the next video.